This is Two Teachers Chat with your hosts, Brenda McCrate and Peggy Wilbur.
Hi, Brenda.
Hi, Peggy.
How are you today?
I am great.
We are
Two Teachers Chat.
Well, my question for you today is you've put up the learning target, or we talked about doing that, putting up the learning target on the board, and we talk with the students about it and explain it. And I have some students, even after we've done the learning target, that want to know why we're learning why do we have to work on this learning target? But really, they're asking a big question, which is why do I have to do this today?
Exactly. And just like we talked about before, there's a percentage of learners that need to see the end product, the holistic learners. So you put that learning target on the board and maybe put an example up. Well, then there are the students who, in order for them to engage, need to have a why. They need to think it's meaningful, that there's something that makes it have an actual purpose, okay? And so one of the important things that you do with a learning target, as you're putting it up there, is you can add, and why is this important? And sometimes it's great to ask the kids, you know, especially if it's a review of something that you've done a while. So, you know, why do we need to add and subtract with regrouping? And they may know or may not know. But for example, when I was in second grade, I had kids who needed the why. And they didn't always ask it, but I knew they needed it. And I would say, so when we're grown-ups, boys and girls, you know, everybody, and this was before debit cards, okay? Just know that.
Okay.
I had to change it a little bit. But I would say, you know, your parents, when they write a check, and now I say when they use their debit card,
Yes.
they have to be able to know whether they have money in the bank, and they have to do some subtraction. And when they get paid, they want to add that money in. Well, you know, if they can't regroup, they can't do that. And so you're going to grow up and have wonderful careers, because I'm always pointing them to being adults and having wonderful jobs and careers, and you're going to need that skill. But if you learn it now, think how easy it'll be then. And the why kids are going, okay, help me when I'm a grown-up. Way to go. In kindergarten, every skill is so minuscule.
Right.
But they would tie every single skill, like why are we learning ch today? We're learning cha because cha is a sound, and we need to know what cha says so we can read. And because all adults need to read. And in order to have a good job or to have a good life, you need to be able to read. If I'm doing fractions, I'm talking about recipes or making stuff,
Pizza.
you know, or building a birdhouse, because a lot of my kids had dads who were in construction. So I talk about, well, your dads can't build stuff if they can't measure and if they can't use fractions, because, you know, that's important. They all go, oh yeah, I know my dad has to do that. So, you know, learn it here. So if you can give them a why, and honestly, if you can't figure out why, maybe you should look at your learning target and look at what you're teaching.
Well, you had said something to me about soccer.
Oh yeah, it can be just something that's fun. Like, you know, I read, you know, we'd read stories, and it would be about a soccer player or an old soccer player. And I just say, okay, guys, so how many of you play soccer? Lots of hands would go up, or football or baseball or whatever, you know, and then you'd say, well, this is about a really cool soccer guy who's old named Pele, and we'd read about it, and they'd all be engaged because it was about soccer. So it can sometimes just be something they're interested in.
It could be something as, this is how, I remember this from college. The statistics teacher, so this is the one class I remember, talked about how to win at Monopoly statistically. And that was the one class I didn't take notes. So, but the point is that he caught our attention, gave us a reason, and then boy did we pay attention because it was so interesting. And that's what it does. It increases the brain's interest in it and motivation. I think it's highly respectful of us to the students, respecting the students when we say, and this is why, this is the why, when you'll bump into it, and when you know it, you'll be way ahead of other people that don't know it.
Exactly.
But I have to say that the curriculum is something that we have to work at putting in because we don't see it in the curriculum.
You don't see it very often. A series here and a series there that have really been brain based will have something like that most of the time, but
I thought of another example. Okay, so you're trying to get third graders to put periods at the end of their sentences and capitals at the beginning. And the periods, as I explained to them, so this would be an example of the why, is, well, the reader will then know where the sentence ends and that thought is complete. And then it just, it's a subconscious message to the reader, which is why you're writing anything, is to say, okay, well, that's done. Now here's a new one. And so you want to respect the reader by putting in your periods.
Yeah.
So that would be an example.
Yeah, that's a why.
Yep.
And the thing is, it's good for us as teachers to think about that. If we, every lesson, try to come up with a why for it, and eventually the kids can take over, because sometimes you can say, oh, why do you think we're, learning division? Oh, well, because, I'll probably have to divide books and put them on shelves, or I'll have to, I want to be able to get an even amount. Okay, cool.
Cupcakes
Great.
for everybody at the party.
Exactly. But it also gives us that meaning, because sometimes, let's face it, we can look at what we're to teach and it doesn't seem meaningful, but we know we have to teach it. If we can come up with a meaning, then we can share that with our students, and everybody will be more engaged in the learning.
Wonderful.
Well, I don't know about you, but my cup's looking empty, Peggy.
Yes,
I think
indeed.
it's time to go get more coffee
Thank you.
and enjoy figuring out the why.
Thank you for watching 2 Teachers Chat. Until next time, and remember, teachers touch lives forever.